This is the Harry Loomis Show. Let's see how this goes. Welcome back to the Harry Loomis Show. We've got a brand new setup today. I'm working on my new webcam. I've expanded my whiteboard. I'm essentially the hockey guy who focuses on the Blues. Today we're taking a look at contracts. We're going to look at all the Blues cap hits and term left on their current players and see how they tier out. The Athletic just put a list out of the teams that managed the cap the best, and the Blues came in at 19th on that. I'm not sure I totally agree with that placement, but they were 30th last year. Pretty obvious uptick from there. So we're going to take a look and see which ones I agree with, which ones I disagree with, where I see the Blues best managing their cap. We have a couple different tiers here. We have the 2000 Chris Pronger tier. He won the Norris and the Hart Trophy this year, one of two defensemen to ever win it. At the bottom, we have the 2014 Ryan Miller the Ryan Miller tier. Still one of the worst moves in my lifetime the Blues have ever made. I am going to die on the hill that if the Blues ride a tandem of Brian Elliott and Yaroslav Halak, they could have won the 2014 Stanley Cup. And then over here, we just have our ELC guys, Jimmy Snuggerud, Logan Mailloux, who doesn't have a jersey number yet, same as Pius Suter and Nick Bukestad, and obviously Dalibor Dvorsky. So we're going to go starting with the forwards. And I'm kind of going to go in order of how I see the lines playing out this year. And the first one, 1C, is pretty obvious. It's Robert Thomas. And this doesn't take a whole lot to discuss. Robert Thomas is going to be right up at the top of Pronger tier. He's one of the best contracts in the NHL. Don't be surprised if he puts up maybe 95 points this year if he stays healthy. He was at a 90-point pace above it this past year, missing 10 games with a broken ankle and having a really, really bad month of January for his standards. Especially when he started getting going with under Jim Montgomery. He took off, played some of the best hockey of his career. He's the Blues number one for a long time and a great, great value at $8.125 million until 2031. On his wing is going to be Pavel Buchnevich, whose new contract kicks in this year. And he's going to go a little bit lower for me. I love Buchnevich, the player. Absolutely love Buchnevich, the player, but the last 2 years have been a noticeable step back from his first two in St. Louis when he was over a point per game, even when he was hurt a lot in the disaster of a 22-23 season. Buchnevich was a monster, over a point per game, the only Blue that year to do so, and he's taken a bit of a step back, signed the contract, $8 million over the next 6 years to stay with the Blues. I'm glad the Blues kept him. He is a player that you can win with. If he's a 65-point player the next couple of years, you can definitely live with that contract because he has some really big moments, and he gives you his all. You don't have to question his effort. $8 million now isn't great, but it's way more doable than, say, in 2021 when the Blues first acquired Pavel Buchnevich. You can live with this contract if he continues to perform at a first-line level, which the Blues are expecting for Buchnevich to be on Robert Thomas's wing this year. Same with Jimmy Snuggerud. We already mentioned he's an ELC this year. So that's the first line. Thomas up the top, Buchnevich a little bit below the middle, and Snuggerud obviously in the ELCs. Next, we're going to take a look at the second line. And the second line center spot is a little bit questionable. It's up in the air who's going to play it. I'm going to lean towards Braden Shen to start the year. And how long does he have left on his contract? Shen has 3 more years at $6.5 million. We're actually going to put Shen right around the same spot as Buchnevich. At this point in time, Buchnevich is a better player than Braden Shen, but obviously they serve two different purposes. They try to make Buchnevich a center. He's not a center. He's a winger. Shen is a bona fide center, a 200-foot player, the captain, and he's making $1.5 million less than than Buchnevich, and his term is only 3 more years as opposed to Buchnevich just starting his 6-year deal. I think these two even out to be about the same. Not great, but not ripping your hair out awful. The Blues can make this work for a while, especially with some of their other savvy moves that we're going to get to later on. There were some talks about Shen getting traded. I don't think that's going to happen, at least anytime soon. Don't be surprised if 10 is on the Blues for the next 3 years to come. And next we have Dylan Holloway. He's going to be right below Robert Thomas for now. He's got 1 year left of his deal, which pays him just under $2.3 million, and the Blues got over 60 points out of him. Who knows what he could have done in the playoffs had he not had the season-ending injury, but nothing short of remarkable for Holloway's first season in St. Louis. I don't know when they're going to do it, but the Blues are going to sign him to a pretty big contract extension, him and Philip Broberg. He is a piece of the Blues' future. Make no mistake about it. It's probably going to be very similar to the Thomas Kyrou Buchnevich range. I wouldn't be surprised if he's making 8 years, $8 million here very soon. You know Doug Armstrong loves a player. You know Jim Montgomery loves a player. Alex Steen loves a player. Who wouldn't love the Blues version of Dylan Holloway? He's going to stay a Blue for a very long time to come. And next we have Jordan Kyrou. His no-trade clause officially kicked in on July 1st, which means unless something crazy happens, he will be a St. Louis Blue for a long time to come. Obviously, Doug Armstrong did his due diligence, look to see if there was a move potentially available for Kyrou. It didn't come to pass. We are going to put him kind of in the middle. He's a little bit above average, but he is a little bit below Thomas and Holloway. And the reason for that is the first 2 years of Kyrou's contract, the 23 season, 24 season, I thought that he wasn't worth $8 million. I thought Thomas was, Kyrou wasn't, and I judged them based on each other because they had the exact same contract, 8 years by $8.125 million. Thomas is a better player. He's a more complete, well-rounded, consistent player. Make no mistake about it. This past year, Jordan Kyrou was an $8 million player. 36 goals, 70 points. I thought it was the best all-around season of his career. And I think that version of Jordan Kyrou is, without question, an $8 million player. There's still the question of, is Jordan Kyrou a player that you can win with? And I don't know the answer, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure. He had a good, not great first round against Winnipeg. But I will say this. You can win with 2025 Jordan Kyrou a lot more than you can win with 23 or 24 Jordan Kyrou. I think that he's going to continue to build and become a more well-rounded player. You saw the signs. He was a little bit better in his own zone this past year, and I think that's just going to continue to improve under Jim Montgomery. And next we go to the third line. I had Braden Shen centering the second line, which means Pius Suter is up next. I don't really have a specific order for this, at least on this side. But we're going to put PS right above Kyrou. I think it's a great contract. Getting a guy like Suter, who's coming off a career season in a weak center market for 2 years at $4.125 million is tidy work by Doug Armstrong. I thought Suter was going to get at least $4.5 million on the open market, and probably longer term. You're getting a 29-year-old for 2 years when you have centers like Dalibor Dvorsky, like Otto Stenberg, not far away from being ready for the NHL. I think that Suter, if a guy like Dvorsky makes the NHL right out the gate, could be his Tyler Bozak to Dvorsky's Robert Thomas, where he learns under him playing on his wing, and eventually when he's ready, takes over that center spot and they stay on line together because they have fantastic chemistry, Thomas and Bozak did. And Suter, like I mentioned in my video when the Blues signed him, is just a Swiss Army knife. He's going to fit into this middle six so remarkably well. He's a guy you won't notice all the time, but that's because he's doing a lot of little things right. Really excited about Pius Suter. He was my number one target for the Blues to get in the open market, and they got him at a fantastic deal, so I'm really excited about that. Next up, playing on his left is going to be Jake Neighbors, and I think he's right around the same value as Kyrou and Suter. Neighbors just signed a bridge contract this past season, 2 years at $3.75 million. His goal scoring took a step back from 24, where he scored, I believe, 27 goals. He still hit 20 this year. His playmaking got noticeably better. I think he only had 11 assists in 2024, got up to 40 points this past season. He's a guy that's going to continue to get better and better. I think he fits Jim Montgomery's system remarkably well. He's a heart and soul guy. He's not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to get to the net. He's got a better shot than we give him credit for. And I'm glad the Blues didn't make the rumored move, which was potentially trading him in a deal for Bowen Byram. That would have been mind-numbingly insane for the Blues to do. I'm glad they didn't make that mistake, especially after having traded Zach Bolduc. But Jake Neighbors is a guy that needs to be on the Blues core for many years to come. Who knows what that next contract's going to come looking like. when he signs it after the 26-27 season. But Neighbors has earned every penny of his contract that he's made so far. And then we get to the third line right wing spot, which is the only one that's really being contested this year. There's three guys, in my opinion, that are going for it. So we'll take a look at all of them right now. The first one's Matthew Joseph, who is going to go down here. Joseph, the Blues got him for nothing, quite literally nothing, future considerations with the Ottawa Senators to take on his contract, 2 years at just under $3 million, $2.95 million against the cap last season and this season. And by all accounts, Joseph's a great guy. I hear he's really good in the locker room. He plays hard. He played well at times. He really found something on that third line with Sundqvist and Bolduc, but the consistency just wasn't there. The offensive production wasn't there. You're not expecting him to be a 50-point player or anything like that, but 30 points, 10 goals, 20 assists could have been doable. He had some opportunities early in the year, and it just didn't really work out for him. But I'm curious to see what the Blues do with that situation come the regular season, because I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move potentially in training camp, right after training camp, early in the regular season, because it's just a logjam. I don't know what they want to do with Dvorsky, but there's too many guys going for the same spot, and there's really no other places available for them. And then going right next to Matthew Joseph at the bottom, we have Alex Texier, the guy that I think he's really contesting with for that third line right wing spot. They really battled each other for playing time this year. Joseph got the lion's share of it. Texier, I think, battled some injuries as well. I think Texier is the more skilled player. You saw some of his skill on display in Columbus. When he did get into the Blues lineup, he was trusted with power play time and did fairly decent on that in small minutes. But same thing with Joseph. I just don't know what the long-term fit is for Texier. He's only making 2.1 against the cap. I don't know. I know Doug Armstrong likes the player. He was the catalyst when the Blues got rid of Brandon Saad. He wanted to give him a bigger opportunity. I don't know if he's earned Jim Montgomery's trust yet. We'll see what he's able to do with a full training camp, with him being healthy and getting that opportunity. And then, in my opinion, the last guy that's in that battle right now is going to be a little bit higher up, just because he's a little bit more proven, and that's Oskar Sundqvist. I don't think there's a Blues fan out there that doesn't have love for Oskar Sundqvist. He was remarkable during the Cup run. He had a great first stint in St. Louis. 18-19, 19-20 in particular were two really good seasons from him playing on the fourth line. Everyone was excited to see him come back. He obviously has so much love for the city, but coming off of a second torn ACL, you can tell he's just not the player he was before. He's a lot slower. Playing on the third line last year was just not. It was a necessity in terms of the Blues didn't have the center depth, but you knew it wasn't going to be a long-term fix. That's why you go out and get a guy like Pius Suter. Sundqvist is responsible still. He's pretty good in his own end, but I don't think there's a center role available for him, and I don't think he has the speed to be able to play a wing spot anymore. He's not going to play that fourth-line center. Nick Bjugstad, who we'll talk about, is going to be the Blues' fourth-line center. They brought him in for that exact reason. So what the future holds for Oskar Sundqvist, I really don't know. And now we go to the Blues' fourth line. Like I mentioned, Nick Bjugstad is going to be the fourth-line center. And I think that's a perfectly solid contract. 2 years at $1.75 million isn't bad. Bjugstad's a really tall player. I think he's about 6'6", right shot. Had 22 goals the last year in Arizona. Had a back injury last year and was really a failure to launch the 1 year he played in Utah. Single-digit goals. If he can get a little bit closer to that 24 mark, he's not going to be a 22-goal scorer. The Blues aren't paying him to be a 22-goal scorer, but if you can even get 10 goals out of him with solid fourth-line production, you can live with that. Radek Faksa was a great fourth-liner for the Blues, and it had nothing to do with his offense because he really didn't have much at all. Even though he scored in Game 7 against Winnipeg, he was reliable. He won faceoffs. He got possession. He kept pucks away from the slot on defense, and you didn't hear much about him. Kind of like I said about Pius Suter. If you don't hear about your fourth-line center, that means he's probably doing his job. That's what the Blues are going to pay Nick Bjugstad to do, and I think he's going to be able to do that. Now, next up is going to be the Blues' left winger on that fourth line, who's going to be way up high. That's Nathan Walker. What Blues fan does not love Nathan Walker's game? is such a perfect fourth liner for this hockey club. He has the speed. He's able to get up on offense when he needs to. He can score in bursts. He's had a couple really good stretches of scoring goals, and he's just a Rottweiler. He plays so hard every second he's on the ice. He gives you 110%, and Blues fans have really grown to love Walker for obvious reason. And he's only making $775,000, which is damn near league minimum going into this season. I think he could sign a 4-year, $1.5 million contract with the Blues, and we would get every penny out of that contract. He is the perfect modern day fourth liner for the St. Louis Blues. And essentially, the taller version of Nathan Walker is going to be on the right side in Alexei Toropchenko. And we'll put him down here because he's making almost $1 million more than Nathan Walker, $1.7 million. And last year was a bit of a step back offensively. He scored double-digit goals in 24, and I think only had about 4 this past season. But again, a fourth liner, that's not really what he's there for. He's tall, he forechecks like crazy, he's super physical, and he's got skill at the wazoo. Some of the goals he's scored have just been dirty. The one against Pittsburgh where he just kind of sliced through the Penguins' defense and went top shelf. I mean, that's in his repertoire. You would never expect that from a fourth liner. I really like Alexei Toropchenko's game. I think if you get a balance somewhere with the production you got defensively last year with that WTF line, you're going to have a really good fourth line once again. But yeah, these three, the fourth line, I really have no problems with them in terms of the cap situation. I really like how the Blues have kind of made that line their identity. Even swapping out Radek Fox for Nick Bukestad, I think it's going to bear some fruit. So the defensemen are up next, and we're going to start out with Cam Fowler, who I think I have the biggest discrepancy with on the Athletics chart. They don't like Fowler's contract, mostly because he had a couple rough years with Anaheim and started out really bad before the trade to the Blues. But when he was in St. Louis, man, oh man, was he good. And he's got 1 year left on his contract. The Blues are only paying $4,001,001 for Cam Fowler, which is even better value. Yes, Fowler's 33 years old. Who knows? I don't think he's going to be on pace for 50 points again like he was last year. But just the IQ, the stability he brought onto that top pair with Colton Parayko, the power play presence he was able to provide as well. Cam Fowler was the perfect addition to the Blues when they needed it. They got him on my birthday, December 14th last year, and he was arguably the Blues MVP the second half of the season. I don't know what the long-term fit is for Fowler, but he is definitely one of the best bangs for the buck the Blues have coming into this season. And on his side is Colton Parayko, who the Athletic has been really hard on in the past. He had a couple rough seasons before and after he signed that 8-year contract. But Parayko was a guy that I can't believe didn't get a single Norris vote this past year. He had the best season of his career. One of the best partners. He's definitely the best partner he's had since Jay Bouwmeester with Cam Fowler. I think they really found something with each other. Career high in goals for Parayko as well. He's got such a powerful slap shot, and it felt like for a couple years he wasn't overly willing to use it. And when he did, a lot of times it wasn't anywhere near on goal. He figured it out this year. He was firing on all cylinders. It sucked that he had his knee scope, but the Blues didn't lose momentum. I was worried for a minute that was going to cost us the momentum we had, maybe keep us out of a playoff spot. It really didn't. And Parayko he was good, but not great against Winnipeg. Give him a full year to reset, or a full offseason to reset. I think he's going to come into this next season maybe better than ever. I'm really excited to see what we have there. Second line now, the other offer sheet boy, Philip Broberg, is going to go about even with Cam Fowler. Maybe a little bit higher solely for the fact that he's 24 years old and had the best season of his career by a mile. A smidge under $4.6 million for this upcoming season for Broberg. And I think he's worth every penny. Holloway makes about half as much and was a more impressive player. You're comparing a winger to a defenseman. Apples and oranges. The Blues needed a Philip Broberg, and he was the best version of himself the Blues could have possibly asked for. Same thing with Holloway. He is going to get a really big contract here pretty soon. And it won't be long until we see Broberg and Pareko as the Blues' bona fide top pair, in my opinion. And I think that has the potential to be a really solid one. They're both very well rounded, 200-foot defensemen. They can give you the offense, but they're also, when you need a shutdown guy, I think they're both capable of it, especially Broberg. He had a really, really strong run of not giving up goals, especially at 5-on-5, despite a couple of the injuries he had. Really excited for number six's future in St. Louis. And his partner to start the year is going to be Justin Falk, who's got 2 years left at $6.5 million. And I love Justin Falk, but he's probably the worst contract the Blues have right now. And Falk has been valiant as a Blue, 21 through 23. I think he was pretty easily the Blues' best defenseman. 22 in particular, he was really, really good. But he's really taken a step back the last couple of years, especially with Pareko really rebounding, becoming that number one defenseman the Blues needed him to be. I really believe the Blues have been looking to trade Justin Falk. It hasn't happened just yet for the time being. Until Logan Mailloux takes his spot, he's going to be the Blues' second pair right shot defenseman. Falk was a $6.5 million player for about 3 years, but just kind of what that deal represented to Blues fans was kind of hard to overlook. I do like him as a player. I like him as a guy, but at this current point, he's probably the worst contract the Blues have. Another guy I didn't have on here is Torrey Krug. Obviously, kind of same thing I mentioned him with Falk. He's never going to play again. It's pretty much confirmed at this point. His $6.5 million cap hit would be probably where Justin Falk was if he were playing, but since he's going to be on LTIR, that's off the books. I don't want to say no harm, no foul. I hope Torrey Krug is doing well. I like him as a player. I like him as a person. It was just kind of a tough situation that he came into, kind of the same time as Justin Falk. It was a bit of a reset for the Blues. He's a better player than the Blues fans gave him credit for, in my opinion. On the third pair, it's going to be Logan Mailloux on the right side. To the left is going to be Tyler Tucker. Tyler Tucker makes $925,000, which is perfectly reasonable for what Tyler Tucker provides. There were times last year where he drove me a little bit crazy, but down the stretch, he was a really, really good contributor to the Blues. Had a great Game 4 in the playoffs up until he got hurt, which really sucked to see. Thought that was kind of going to be the breakthrough for Tyler Tucker that we've been waiting for. And who knows, maybe it could be. He's got a chance to play every game for the Blues this upcoming season. He is the clear-cut number 3 on the Blues' left side. I like his physicality a lot. He's willing to defend teammates. If he can avoid some of the boneheaded decisions he's been prone to making, he could be a really solid third pair guy at a really cheap price too, under $1 million for the next 2 years. Tucker could be a really good, affordable third pair guy for the Blues over the next couple of years. And then our last defenseman is Matthew Kessel, who makes $800,000. And that contract kind of is what it is. We'll put it a little bit more towards the middle. Kessel's the Blues' number 7 defenseman at this point in time. I don't think anyone else in the minors, Lindstein's not ready yet. He's coming over to North America this year, but he's not ready. Buchinger, I don't think is ready either. The 7th spot is really his for the taking right now. And who knows if Logan Mailloux struggles, someone gets hurt, he could step into that back into that Blues lineup. He's had a couple of opportunities. He looked pretty good at the end of 24, had a rough start to 2025, which inadvertently led to the Cam Fowler trade. He didn't really get a lot of ice time in the NHL after that. He's going to get opportunities this year. It depends on whether or not he makes the most of them. Next up, we have the goalies, and I'm going to start with the backup this time. Joel Hofer got signed. The Blues were not going to let him go. 2 years, $3.4 million. And that is a perfectly fair contract for what Joel Hofer is to the St. Louis Blues. Him and Binnington both took a step back last year. Neither one of them matched the 913s they had in 2024. Hofer's was a little bit better. I think it was around a 905, 906. You can live with that as a backup. He had a couple issues, especially early in the game, would give up kind of a stinker early on, but then would kind of come into his own and really be solid from that point on. Hofer, I think, is the starter in waiting. The Blues have 2 years left. Jordan Binnington, we'll get to him in a second, but I think he's going to continue to slowly increase his number of games played. I think it'll be something like 46-36 maybe this year. Hofer is not going to get the lion's share. Obviously, he is the bona fide backup right now. But I think Montgomery believes in him, and I think that trust is going to slowly increase. Hofer, 25 years old. Now's the time to really see what you have in him long term. And speaking of long term, the winningest goalie in Blues history, Jordan Binnington, 2 years left at $6 million. And I'm going to put him right next to Hofer. I think that is a perfectly fair contract for current Jordan Binnington. He is a goalie. I'm going to defend Jordan Binnington to the grave. I will always defend Jordan Binnington because we've seen what he can do at his best. We saw him in 2019. Yes, he has some stinkers here and there. Yes, he'll make a moron of himself occasionally, but that's what he needs to hype himself up to get the crowd, to get the team going, and everything like that. When the Blues were struggling, especially in 23, he would let some games just snowball. Once the Blues got behind, he wasn't going to make the key saves the Blues needed, wasn't going to rob any shots, was going to let in some that he shouldn't have let in. And it was kind of dead on arrival. That was the only year he had a sub 900 save percentage. Last year, he really bounced back in a big way. That team was not good enough to make the playoffs, and Binnington threw up a 913, a really big bounce back. And then last year, he struggled a little bit early on again, got way better throughout the season, and I thought he had a really solid playoff run. The stats aren't going to show it. Stats, save percentage, goals against have never been really a way to judge Jordan Binnington, which sounds like mental gymnastics, but you really got to watch him play and see how the Blues rally around him, see how he keeps the team in games. He is a $6 million goal, in my opinion. I'm going to always defend Jordan Binnington. He's 32 years old right now. I think the Blues have 2 more good years left that they're going to get out of him. And if he and Hofer both put up 913, something similar to that they did in 2024, even a 910, both of them, I think the Blues can put up 100 points this year. I think there is a lot to like with this team, the way that the cap is built. There's not a lot of real disaster contracts. There's a lot to like with this team, and there's a lot of maneuverability, in my opinion, that the Blues can work with here. So those are kind of where I have the Blues contracts right now. We're going to do some more roster breakdowns and everything like that as the season gets closer. We're 2 months away. It's a little bit of cabin fever right now, trying to figure out what to talk about or how to assist the Blues, but we're going to keep it going. Man, I'm super excited for this season to get started. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks again for watching the Harry Loomis Show, and stay tuned for more. This is the Harry Loomis Show.